Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary. And you have been watching me put some of the final touches on this K4 Mando Cello that is the last mandolin in our current batch of 10. And the only thing left, I think, right now is the Pickguard. And so we're going to build it and feature that right now. I'll start by trying to get a paper template. I'll take a piece of paper about the same size as the ebony board that I've got, and I'll lay it up against the instrument, the Mando Cello, and I will try to guess at a good shape, cut that out. If it doesn't suit me, I'll trim it up. Sometimes I start all over again and go, okay, I need to be a little fatter over here or a little fatter over there or whatever. But eventually I'll come up with something that I think is attractive, and that's what we'll run with. At that point, I'll transfer the shape from the paper template roughly over onto the piece of ebony itself, and then saw it out on the bandsaw, of course, and take it to the sanders and smooth out all of the little humps and bumps and get it to flow smoothly, and test fit it and make sure that I'm really happy with the outside shape. And then I go to putting the binding on, and I use the same procedure for Pickguard as I do for mandolin, with black, white, black, inner binding being inlaid first, and then the outer binding, which in this case is a piece of black to go with the style on the Mando Cello. Then I'll put that on. Now, believe it or not, we're going to inlay the same pattern that we have in the peg head. That compass point inlay pattern is going to go into the Pickguard as well. So I want to make sure that I've got a good place for that. And it's a big Pickguard and a smaller piece of pearl, so we're going to move it around here and take a look and see which place we like it best. And I think that I'm going to like it on the lower left-hand corner. Probably strikes me as being the place to inlay this compass point pattern. But before I start the inlay, I'd like to work on the attachment points. We're going to drill for the attachments a point under the fretboard and get those metal pins in there, and that metal bracket that holds it steady on the side of the Mando Cello. We'll have to fabricate one of those. It's not like you can actually go to the Mando Cello Pickguard store and pick up a spare bracket now, is it? So we're going to use a piece of aluminum that I have and shine it up real good and shape it, and that's what we're going to use for that little metal bracket that attaches the Pickguard to the side of the instrument. And once we get all of the fitting and everything done and we're happy, then we can go back to inlaying the pearl inlay pattern, which, by the way, in the archives of the Ratliff Mandolins weekly production diary is a video that shows us cutting those patterns out of the abalone and pearl. Go back and check out that particular video where we actually cut those patterns and everything. And of course, then you just dig out a hole in the ebony and inlay the pearl. And after that, really the only thing left is to clean it up, sand it down, get everything slicked in the way you want it to, and start applying the finish. Lots of times I like to use linseed oil or one of those finishes that you can just apply a new coat over top of. But I think because of the inlay, that's going to make that a little difficult here on this particular Pickguard. So we're going to use lacquer and probably just steel wool it off at the end to give us a nice satin finish that should be easy to fix because Pickguards like to get scratched and that sort of thing. So hopefully we can just take a piece of steel wool and fix all the scratches in the future when that happens. So that's the idea there. And so I have the Pickguard here with first 2 or 3 coats of finish on it. Looks really nice. And we're just going to continue on with the regular mandolin type procedure for finishing this thing out. And then we'll be able to attach it, deliver it to the customer. And with that, we will have the completion of what up till now has been the current batch of mandolins, and we get to start on the next ones. And speaking of which, I also spent some time this week with that next batch of mandolin. And if you've been following the series, you know that we're working on the tops and the backs for the next batch of 10. And so that's what I've been able to do in between gluings and stuff on this thing this week. I went in there and worked on those, and here's a little bit of footage of that. And so we're coming along nicely with that, and that's about it for this week, actually. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Ratliff Mandolins weekly production diary. Hopefully we'll get this thing all taken care of, and we'll have a complete final instrument to do, or to show you with that, and plenty of progress on the next batch, which will at that point become our current batch. So please come back next week. I really appreciate the comments. Let me know that you're watching, and let me know that what you like what you're seeing, hopefully. And we'll look for you next week on the next episode of the Ratliff Mandolins weekly production diary. See you then.